Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake
technology
of it. Technology
increased, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes.
Because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovesi, and I want to thank you for joining us today as we go live, and we do it live every single Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, bringing you amazing guests. People are going to help you fill in the gaps of your knowledge so that you can have your success faster than you ever thought you could. These people are going to share their insights, their stories, their experiences to help you level up your game so that you can hit those goals faster. And if you want to know more about, who we're bringing on to this show, because we're booked out throughout the rest of the year, go to masterconnector.show and you can see the roster of people, amazing guests that we have coming on. Steve gets the cream of the crop and brings them here to you. And the beauty of live is you get to come here, ask your questions, comment, meet each other in the audience. You can ask questions of us or a guest. Get your questions answered, because that's the beauty of live. Interact in the comments, real time. And then if you can't catch it live, catch the replays as it goes out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and probably everywhere else you got to look for us. And if you want to be a guest on the show, do go to masterconnector.show, hit that guest tab, and apply to be a guest on this show. If you got something you need to get out there, a message, you got a great idea, we want to hear about it. We want to share it with our audiences. And if you want to sponsor an episode, do the same thing. Hit that sponsor tab and sponsor and get your name out on an episode of the show. Steve and I, we go way back 28 years, two former shy guys, two introverts who started a live show, who run our own businesses, who give talks from stage. Steve is a TEDx speaker. He's official. He just gave it last month. Can't wait for that video to come out so we could all witness it, pass it around, and see the power of what an introvert can do, because we live in a world where if you're not extroverted, you can't succeed. Bunch of BS. You can do it. Steve's done it. I've done it. You can do it too. So listen, no more about that. We're all connectors here, but there's only one master connector. So let's bring him on, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
What's up, Robbie G? Yeah, go figure. A bunch of two introverts, and here we are as on the Master Connector Show. It's insane, but I appreciate you, buddy. And you push me all the time, always, to be the best version of myself, and I appreciate you. But what's going on, everyone? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. Excited to be on here with you, and welcome my sister Eileen on IZYZ. Great having you. I love you, sis. I love that she's the first one I'm getting to see on here. I appreciate you. But I have a question for you all. What if, and y'all, I did my TEDx in Houston, so I got the y'all thing going on. What if the reason people aren't choosing you or connecting with you or even working with you isn't because you're not the best, but it's because you simply, they simply don't understand you? And so we're going to talk a lot about that today, about being understood and having people understand you, right? Being understood beats being the best. And I put a post out today, and I was being, as usual, I love being authentic and being transparent about some of the things I've dealt with over the years. And, for a long time, I didn't really believe in myself. I really felt like I didn't have value. I felt like, there was, I just love being able to hide in my room and in my solitude. And, my TED Talk is going to speak a little bit about that if you get a chance to watch it. It's the quiet advantage, how introverts can outconnect the rest, and hope it will be out in the next week or two. We'll see. We're making some great progress. The video just got officially approved, so it's ready to go, hopefully. So, but anyway, but yeah, listen, so here's the thing, right? So as we're out there, and, I told a story about COVID. I was, we were all locked down for a while, especially in the Northeast. And I was challenged years ago to meet 3 strangers every day. And that was a great challenge, incredibly scary challenge, right? Rob talked about it, both introverts, imagine, and from New York, talking to strangers. And when you get a chance to watch my TED, you're going to hear a crazy story. It's probably going to make your skin crawl when you hear it, but it's crazy, and it's actually pretty funny when you hear the rest of it. But anyway, here I am, and actually started to enjoy the challenge and stretching myself and getting out there and meeting strangers. And I don't just mean going to networking events, okay? Full disclosure, I'm talking about you see somebody at the gas station. Hey, nice, I don't know, Toyota, whatever, like it wasn't even a nice Ferrari half the time, and starting a conversation and actually exchanging contact information. Okay. We're talking at like Starbucks, we're talking at like supermarkets, we're just like wherever, and so here I was. Now the lockdown happens, and I tried doing it with the mask on. It was ridiculous. Couldn't do it. And so all of a sudden I'm locked down, and I started to go on LinkedIn and really leverage that. And I started to get on 7 Zoom calls every single day. Crazy. And I felt more connected than ever. But as I'm talking to people and I'm hearing their story, I'm listening for them to be understood and for me to be understood too, because we were connecting as humans. We're going to talk a little bit about AI today. AI is great. It's a tool, but it's not the secret. It's not the key, right? At one of my talks that I like speaking about is the real AI, which is authentic influence. And, so it's not about, technology. You can leverage technology, but that human connection is really what's going to be the difference maker. I speak on breaking barriers to create real human connection is, digital AI driven world. And, it's a very connected world, but we're not connected. And so it's that human component and being understood and understanding is really, I believe, the main differentiator between if you really want to stand out, if you really want to work with the right people, if you really want to thrive, you're going to want to listen today and really pay attention and get involved. Get in the comments, connect with each other, and appreciate you. Yolanda's on here. Love hearing. Have been. Yes, she is one of those 7 people. Yes, she is. I appreciate you, Yolanda. But anyway, if you're ready to have my man introduce our incredible guest, type in the comments. Let's go. Robbie G, I'll pass it to you, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Let's go, everybody. Silvana Pimentel is the AI superpower strategist and founder of AI Your Superpower. She helps solo entrepreneurs and small business owners turn AI and answer engine optimization into a practical visibility engine so they become the trusted, obvious choice in AI-powered search. So the latest, greatest new thing. I'd love to hear about this. A TEDx speaker featured on Fox, CBS, NBC, CW, and ABC, Silvana is known for making AI simple, human, and profitable. Her mission is to show that being clearly understood by people and by AI beats just being the best every time. Please welcome to the show, Silvana Pimentel. Welcome, Silvana.
Hey, thank you so much, Rob and Steve. I'm super excited to be here today.
We're just honored to have you, Silvana.
Uh-huh.
And I know that you skipped going to the Middle East just to be on our show today. No, not
That's
really.
right. You are so important to me. Yes, I was supposed to go to Dubai, but I changed my plans due to the situation. But yeah, so excited.
We're appreciative of you being on here. So let's dig right into it. I mean, we're so excited to have you on here, and you're just an amazing asset. And so let's talk about clarity, right? So I think in media, I have a background in communications degree. I think clarity is super important. But here's the question for you, Silvana. Why
Mhm.
does being understood matter more than simply being the best? And let's get right into it, right? That's our topic today.
Yes, for me, Steve, this is very personal. I moved to the US from Peru about 20 years ago, and I remember feeling like I had to prove myself all the time. And when I came at the beginning, it was very difficult for me to be understood. People literally couldn't either understand me either for my accent, because I also realized I do have an accent, or because honestly that could be also my English skills were just needed some improvement at the time. So the bottom line is that people couldn't understand me. So at the time, I did a lot of things to improve my English so it could sound perfect. I tried so hard to sound like everyone else, like sound like a native English speaker. And I would practice for hours. And I even took accent reduction classes and things like that to sound like everyone else and to be understood. And then I realized, well, actually, the accent is going to be part of me forever because English is not my first language. So it comes with my story, and it's part of who I am. But I would be able to control my English skills. So I improved my English skills, my pronunciation, and eventually I was able to be understood. And then something happened in my life. I mean, I realized the accent wasn't going to be a problem. Wasn't the problem. It was actually, it could be is something that makes me different than the others. So when I started honoring my accent and my uniqueness, what makes me different, and stop trying to fit in and be like everyone else, something changed. Because not only I had clarity on the communication, because I was able to communicate better and improve the clarity, but also I was clear on who I was.
Mhm.
And then I started to be noticed. So that was very, very interesting, and my tipping point.
Love that. And by the way, I love your accent. I think it's
Oh,
great.
thank you.
Actually, in reality, we me and Rob have an accent, right? How you doing?
There you
You know, that
go.
New York,
Yes, sir.
you know, how's it going? But no, it's great. And I barely could speak English, so I compliment anyone who speaks more than one language because I can barely master the one language that I have. But I agree so much to what you said, and you'll see this in my TED talk as well. It's I mentioned this, I learned years ago, and Rob has seen this. I think he probably, whether he realizes it or not, I was trying to be like our mentor that was, bold and loud and charismatic, but I realized eventually I'll be a second class somebody else, but I'll always be a first class me. And so important
Mm,
to find the value in who you are. And I just had a great compliment today. I was on with a guy that used to be my speaker coach, and he said to me, Steve, one of the biggest things, actually it wasn't him too, but he said something similar. This is a friend from night. It was actually one of the comments on my post today. Somebody I
mm,
know from back in the martial arts days, a guy named Ken Montgomery, who I've known for years. And he said to me, and I'm just using him as something he said, but he said, one of your secret sauce is you always made people feel comfortable. And I'm kind of paraphrasing, but and again, it's not about me, but whatever you have, embrace it, right? And you have an incredible accent, and that's amazing. Don't try to be different. So love that and what you said as
oh,
well. Yeah,
thank you,
for
Steve. By the
sure.
way, I cannot wait to see your TEDx.
I
And speaking
appreciate
of
that.
TEDx, I did also a TEDx about this specific thing: how to turn your accent into your superpower.
There it is. That's it right there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So in the world we live in today, I think there's a lot of focus on positioning. Whether
Hmm.
it be positioning ourselves as part of why one of the things me and Rob appreciate about being running the Master Connector show is it positions us as a thought leader, right? There's some influence there, and sometimes I think a lot of times we learned years ago. We were taught posture. Posture is ugly. But we then it was shifted. Our mind was shifted to positioning, and positioning is much more valuable. So I want to talk about positioning. Community, type in
Hmm.
hashtag positioning. So what's the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make when trying to explain what they do?
Oh, I love that question. One of the biggest mistakes is trying to be everything for everyone. I
Mm,
think a lot of people try to cover a larger target market, and so that they think they can increase sales by targeting more people. But the opposite occurs when we are clear on the more specific we are on who we help, with what outcome, and how, what framework do we use, the better chances we have at succeeding. So
mm,
definitely makes a difference. And also having a clear message also takes an important part here, because a lot of people doesn't have clear, speaking back, going back to the clarity component of this conversation, which is, if you don't know exactly what you do, who do you help, with what outcome, and what framework you use, what makes you unique, it's more difficult to tell anybody else what you do. So if people cannot understand what you do, they are not going to be able to either to uh, to repeat what you do, to recommend you, or to choose you for that matter. I would love to share a interesting story that happened to me in that topic. I was in networking event, and I ran into an old friend, and she's like, Silvana, congratulations. I see you everywhere. You've been doing so good. And I was like, wow, okay, stop it. Stop. I was getting excited, so happy. Yeah, thank you. And then she say, but actually, I don't really know what you do. I was like, what? What did you
Ouch.
say, Carla? Wow. Oof. That was a very humbling moment for me because truly she didn't understand. And I would love, and this is a friend who cares about me, who could possibly, if she would need my services, she would hire me or she would recommend me. But if she didn't know what I do, how could she even recommend me? And the same thing exact happened the day after with another friend. So it was a very humbling moment. And then I realized, wow, I need to kind of reset and move forward with a clear message and that is clear. So clarity is a very important component.
Mhm.
And for clarity, we are not talking about only the clarity of the message of our services or the target, but also the language. And when we speak about language, we are not talking about just the obvious English, Spanish, Chinese, but also speaking using the same terms, the same way, the same words that our target market will use, because so that we can understand each other.
Right.
Then also consistency, and this is one of the things where I struggle at the beginning, because I would be somebody in one platform and there will be somebody else in another one, and I will kind of continuously kind of I edit my bio for the different platforms, and that would confuse people. So that will be a good important thing to change.
Yeah, you know, you're right in my lane there, Silvana, and I love what you're saying because I do that for a living as a brand strategist. That's what I do. Everything you talked about is what I do, but you understand it, even though you don't do what I do, which is great. And I had a
Mhm.
similar experience early on when I spoke in front of a room of 30 business owners in a networking group every week, and after about 3 months, a guy came up to me. He goes, I'm not really sure what you do. And at first
Okay.
I was really offended. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm like, are you listening? I'm blaming him, right? But then I took back and I was like, you know what? Wait a minute. Am I confusing him? And I think what you're saying is really important for people to have that self-awareness, to be able to put themselves in other people's shoes and go, if I heard that, would I be confused? And to be that objective is definitely part of maybe a superpower or something to develop. But it made me look at what I was saying. And here's what I came up with to simplify it for everybody. If you're not speaking about one particular thing you do, the moment you mention something else, everybody's confused, right? Because
Mhm.
the mind wants to put you in a box, a category, a box with
Mhm.
a label so they understand. They need context. So that's why when I first started out as building websites, and as soon as I evolved out of that, I never even said the word website in front, because as soon as I say that, people go, "Oh, the website guy," and I didn't want that, right? So you have to have one singular message that you say all the time. And if you dig deeper with somebody who wants to maybe hire you, then you can mention other things, but mention that one thing.
Yep. And very,
Absolutely.
very true. And in my scenario, I could relate a little bit. You know, I positioned my kind of handle as the master connector, but I was like all over the place with what that meant because I thought it was intriguing to people. And sure it was, but then people were like, okay, so you're the guy that gets paid to connect people, right? I'm like, no. You know, and so to your point, Rob, and that's the value. If you don't belong to a weekly networking group, what's great of value about it is it's to me, it's like this little experiment you could use on a regular basis through refining your message. And then so then I started speaking. Oh, I said, okay, I am an inspirational speaker that talks about the power of human connection. So now the master connector is not about connecting people, but it's about human connection. And so that therefore I took that same premise and simplified it at least the best I can to try to make sure that people understand it. So I love that. Yeah. So we want to keep the ball rolling. I know you're big in the AI world, and so there's something now as we're and there's another thing that you hear a lot of, which is SEO, search engine optimization, and there's just
Mhm.
like question that people are having these days, which is now how does search engine optimization relate to AI and all that? So community, type in, there's a phrase I recently realized, or whatever, an acronym, AEO. And so for those who aren't familiar, if you wouldn't mind, Silvana, what is exactly is answer engine optimization, if you don't mind? Sounds pretty
Oh, I
sophisticated.
love the question, Steve. I like to explain AO in a simple way. It's making sure AI understands you so it can choose you and then recommend you. Because most people, as you mentioned, are familiar with SEO, which is optimizing for Google. Because truly, like a lot of people used to, when you needed to look for something, you used to say, let's Google it, right? But
Right.
now people are starting asking the AI tools for
Mhm.
certain outcomes, like for recommendations about professionals to hire, restaurants,
Mhm.
businesses, and so on. So, and the interesting thing about this is that Google, when you Google something, you will typically get hundreds or
Right.
sometimes thousands of results.
Mhm.
For Google, it's critical to show up either on the first page and hopefully on the
Mhm.
first couple of results, because
Correct.
otherwise people are not going to get to you. But the fascinating thing with AI is that AI, when the user asks for a recommendation, AI is not gonna throw like 50, not even 30 options. Typically gives 1 to 3 options, 1 to 3 versus competing with hundreds or
Mhm.
thousands of options.
Yeah.
So that's when being unique is more important than being the best. And this
Mhm.
is an amazing kind of a way to full circle this topic, which is once you are clear on your message and then you are consistent with the same message in the different platforms, and you have a clear expertise that is specific to a group, then AI can actually see you, choose you, and then recommend you because he knows you are your solution is the right one for that specific need. And if you think about it, typically there is something that we can do that helps a specific group, and so that's where this becomes very important. If we are able to take care of the 3 steps: clarity, consistency, and expertise, then definitely we can make a difference and we can make it easier for AI tools to recommend us.
So what you're saying, Silvana, because I mean, I just started diving into this about a month ago, and I'm sure there's lots of
Uh-huh.
people listening who have no clue what you just said. Not because you weren't clear, but because this is so new, we
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know how it affects our daily business lives. So
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying is, instead of Googling branch strategist or sales strategist or something like that and getting a set of results, websites, news, whatever it is, people are going to say Gemini or ChatGPT or another AI tool and searching the same thing, but coming
Mm-hmm.
up with only 1 to 3 comprehensive answers. Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
exactly, Rob. And you know
So that,
what?
that is bad news and good news, I imagine.
Well, it can be good news if you're one of the 3 options given, right? And
Right.
that is the thing there. The important thing there is because, or why AI does that is because if you think about it, AI knows us very well, like scarily very well, because they know, like sometimes even more than ourselves, strangely enough. But it has all that data. It knows what you like, who you are, what you do. So it can be more specific on the search as far as what you need, the specific thing you need. So, and this also works not only for written tools, but also for audio tools like Alexa, Siri, and other
Mm.
AI tools. So, that the key thing, and this is something new that is starting to happen, and so the people and this works perfectly for personal brands or for businesses, because instead of like putting content and working so hard on doing marketing or advertising to try to get some attention of the customers. This, when you do this properly, you can get the attention of the customers, or you can get customers coming to you, and hopefully they will be the right. Not hopefully, they are typically the right customers that you serve because you optimize for this. So it's definitely a very important tool that is available nowadays.
No doubt. I just want to acknowledge a few people here. So we've got the amazing Rush Heads coming in the house. Happy Wednesday. Amazing friend of the show and sponsor. And then Kristen O's joining us. So just appreciate you, Kristen, being on here with us again. Just appreciate you. But, we're talking AI, right? So I want to talk about systems. Big, Robbie G knows I'm a big believer of like systematic kind of ways in which I do things. But here's the question for you, Silvana, relating to AI. How can AI help entrepreneurs show up consistently without burnout?
Love that question. Well, being clear, this framework can definitely help them show consistently without burnout, because once you optimize the process, then you're not working so hard to get the attention of the customers, but instead they come to you. So once you set that in motion, is easier to handle and to manage. But also another way, I mean, talking about AI to avoid burnout is like one of my favorite topics. I could say optimizing processes and utilizing AI where, especially for the repetitive tasks, there are many ways to do that. But also to utilize AI. For instance, one of my favorite topics or my favorite ways to use AI for businesses is the use of AI employees. Like, for instance, we are talking about AEO to attract customers, but let's focus on the customers that we already have. So either or the customers that might be visiting our websites or social media or giving us a call. Let's say we get a call from a potential customer who wants to make an appointment for a service of a business. If for some reason the person does not pick up the call, typically will go to voicemail. Sometimes maybe the user will leave a voicemail, but most likely will not. And so we miss that opportunity. And a lot of times the same thing happens with somebody who might be checking out our website, and if doesn't get the information that they are looking for, they will just move on to the next thing. So how can we capture those opportunities? For instance, on the calls, we can incorporate an AI voice agent, which will take care of that call, will grab that call and turn it into like either an appointment or a customer that had their questions answered, or at least took the information and will follow up, will have a person follow up with that opportunity. So that's a really good way to do it. And also with the chatbots as well, that we can provide information in writing.
That's amazing. Yeah. And we need to close the show down. So many great nuggets of information here. We appreciate you big time, Silvana. Thank you again for being on here and being a blessing. I know, speaking of blessings, I know you have an offer, something you'd like to give our community. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what you're offering the community, please?
I would love that. So I put together a blueprint about a visibility blueprint that will not only work for AI, but also for humans. So I put together this document that will show you what needs to be done so you can actually show up and be chosen not only for humans, but also for AI. So it's available. Just need to visit the website there.
Rob is putting it right in the comments there.
Awesome.
Appreciate you. And thank you again. What's the best way for our community to reach you, please?
Yes, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn here, Silvana Pimentel. Also go to my website, silvanapimentel.com, for more information. And I also have YouTube channels and everything, but you can start there.
Love it. Well, we appreciate you big time. Thank you again for blessing our community. I was going to have you in the green room, wait a little bit, but appreciate you. Have an amazing day. And thank you again for being on here with us. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Good stuff. Wow. Well, if you love that, which I know you did, make sure to check out next week's show, episode 253, March 25th. Same bad time, same bad channel, 1 o'clock EST. Trust-based conversations. I know we've kind of touched on that a little bit a few episodes ago, but no pitch with Bryn Tillman. It's going to be a great show. And if you're interested in learning how to sponsor a show like Russ Hedge does, or be a guest on a show, go to masterconnector.show or to find out about some of the up-and-coming shows that we have coming up. We're booked out all the way to November. The websites are updated, I think, all the way to March or April or May. But it's just amazing lineup we have coming. But I want to close with a quick story. You know, before becoming one of the most recognizable voices in business and motivation, the amazing Mel Robbins was a struggling attorney facing financial stress and self-doubt. Instead of waiting for confidence to appear, she created a simple mindset tool, the 5-second rule. And she shared it online, and through consistent storytelling and authenticity, built a global platform that has helped millions take action in their lives. Her story reminds us that when you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start sharing your truth, you don't just change your own life. You become a beacon of light that helps others to believe they can rise too. Folks, let's be an inspiration to others, and remember to always shine our light. God bless. We'll see you next week.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives